5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Nice looking Friday. Hope you're doing well. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I think right now there is a walk happening to remember the birthday of probably America's greatest civil rights leader, hero. And so hopefully everybody's safe out there. All the roads are blocked, so you should be safe. There's no cars on the roads, which always a good thing when you're going to have a march down the road, right? Kathryn Harris is on the phone. Kathryn L. Harris. She is a teacher, an event planner. She's a writing consultant, and she's got an awesome book called 90%. It's a memoir, and this is what it says. It says, a memoir of my demise and rise. I just said it that way so you wouldn't think I was talking about me. It's her demise, right? Partially inspired by true events, and it's the first in a trilogy about a black war hero who suffers mental illness. And part of what we're going to talk about, I want to make sure we are fair to the book itself, but part of what my notes say that Kathryn wants to talk about is psychotherapy and how a lot of African Americans are a little bit reluctant to allow themselves to receive that kind of therapy. And as a white American, I am too. I am with them on this one. No, I don't know. I'm just teasing. Kathryn Harris. Good morning, Kathryn. How you doing?
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Robin. How are you?
Pretty good. Where are you right now? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Oh, well, thank you for being up so early to be with us this morning.
Oh, it's 9 o'clock here.
Yeah, here
I'm
too.
Happy to be on your show. I'm very excited.
Well, I guess just tackling that first issue, psychotherapy. Let me think about this for a second. I'm not a black guy, but I'm with you if that's the way they feel.
You feel the same way, Larry?
Well, it's kind of weird, I'm trying to picture, I don't know, the people I know. I can't imagine somebody saying to me, well, why don't you go see a psychotherapist? Yeah, right. I don't need. So I don't know if these white guys are left out of that one. I don't know.
Well, I'd like to make a suggestion if somebody does say that to you.
Yeah, what should I do?
You said, well, if you come with me to a couple of sessions, I'll feel more comfortable. That's what my therapist told me to tell people in my family that have the problem.
My first question would be, how cute is she? That'll determine whether I go or not. All right, on a serious note, I mean, you know what we hear? We hear all the time that returning veterans, people are serving in Afghanistan and Iraq, anywhere really, that they just want to get home. And there are some questions that I guess they're all put through before they are sent home that are supposed to filter out who needs psychotherapy and who doesn't. And so a lot of times they fake it, right? They just get past that point.
Right. Well, I think you're right. Because, in the military, you're taught that you're just supposed to suck it up.
Yeah.
So why, when you're coming out, would you talk about your problems?
Yeah, and so that's a problem, especially. Yeah, well, I mean, it is a problem.
That's a really serious problem, and I'm glad you brought that issue up because young veterans, those are coming out from the Afghanistan and Iraq war, have a 3 times higher rate of committing suicide than older veterans. Yes, and they don't know why.
That's terrible.
So that's a real issue.
Well, and we have a veteran show here on Thursdays, and just a real quick story. We had a Korean War veteran, an older man, and he never believed that he had PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. But his wife said, "Please, I've been reading about it. You sound like you've got every symptom that they're talking about, and everything I read." Reluctant as could be, and anyway, so he finally gave in and went, and he was on the air to say it made all the difference in the world. Now how many years since the Korean War?
Yeah.
Right? Almost 60 years, right? So, or maybe it is 60 by now, yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine him being miserable all those years, waiting all those years?
Yeah, so, there was an example of how it really helped him, so.
And your characters in the book, you do stress in there, the characters that they're dedicated to the military. They're in the Navy. They need to focus right there. You can't focus on anything else. Otherwise, the people you serve with might be in harm's way.
Right. And then when you are in the service, for the most part, still there's that stigma against getting psychotherapy. And my war hero, Jasper Beeman, in my book, 90% of Memoir of My Demise and Rise, was educated, and but he, coming from our culture, felt that what happens in the family or what happens to him stays inside of him. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
made it a very
And
difficult-
and did you develop that character based on a real person?
Well, that character was based on my father.
Okay.
My father's name is Beeman Harris, and he had a psychotic episode, and he never recovered. He also was a very abusive, verbally and physically abusive man. So as a consequence, I had to go in psychotherapy myself. So it is really based on personal experience. He wasn't in the Navy, but it's based on personal experience.
And that wasn't, and did you find out in psychotherapy that it wasn't your fault? Did you go in there believing that whatever happened to you was your fault?
Yes, I believe that it was my fault. I believe that I was a very assertive child, and that I had a lot of difficulties because I did not adhere to what my mother and father said. In addition to that, I was brought up in a Pentecostal church in which you are taught to honor your mother and father. And I was the person that was always asking questions and always saying, "Daddy, you need help." And so it was a double whammy for me to go in. My religion said that I should honor my father. I shouldn't get help.
Right.
But I knew that I did not want to live my life like my father did. So this has become my passion, not only to help myself, but to help others. And I just like to say, Dr. King said that, if you want to call me a drum major, call me a drum major for justice. Call me a drum major for peace. Call me a drum major for righteousness. And I'd like to say I'd like to become a drum major for therapy.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. I like that. That was wonderfully said. So now explain the title, 90%.
Well, Larry, I don't want to give it all away, but the main character, Jasper Beeman, has this relationship. He has a difficulty forming natural and realistic and matured relationships
With women.
He's involved with he's involved with he has one mistress for
Right.
30 years and another emotional mistress, and it relates to that. It relates to how he brought himself up from poverty and became rich, and how he fell down because he could not establish meaningful relationships.
So I was thinking about.
That's all I'm giving away.
Okay, can I say the quote though from Deacon Beeman? Can I make that quote? Can I read that?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is what it says: 90% of all men are involved with 3 women simultaneously.
Right.
Hallelujah! I am happy to be in that number. All right. Now let me just. I was thinking about when I read that, I had one, because when you say 90% of, if you talk about 90% of everybody in Ocala, the little tower in here, the whole world, or maybe a desert island. So I was thinking about Gilligan's Island. Now there were only 3 women on Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
90% of the men would have been everybody except the skipper.
And you're not too sure about that.
Yeah, not too sure about him. Yeah. So they were having a good time on that island. I don't know. Just something I thought of. When you told the story, getting back to the serious topic, I guess. When you told the story, did you relive what you were telling, even though you fictionalized it somewhat, but at the same time, you're being very, you're exposing yourself a lot in this book, aren't you?
Absolutely. And that's a good point, Larry, because I've heard people say, well, when I wrote a book, the Spirit talked to me. But that's what I felt when I wrote my book. I felt my Father was speaking through me. So many of the conversations and the statements, I wrote them, they came out just as if he was saying them.
Wow. And do you think it was a psychological thing for you, or do you believe it was real?
Well, I believe it was both. I believe it healed me psychologically. It allowed me, to be creative. And also, it was him speaking through me. I've read books in which psychiatrists have said that what we learn, what we experience, is still in our DNA. So while I was creating the book, was my father. I guess the best way to say it is I was channeling my father.
Yeah. Are you going to bring all of these events to light when your child gets older?
Oh, when my daughter gets older?
Yeah.
Oh, my daughter is a grown. Yeah, she knows.
Oh, she's grown now.
Yeah, yes, she is.
So she already knows how we are as men.
Yes, I'm sure she does.
So when we talk about African Americans specifically being opposed to psychotherapy, you sort of implied just now that the writing of the book was therapeutic for you.
It was, absolutely. In fact, I am in therapy, and I was in therapy all the time I was writing the book. So, I was healing myself and writing the book at the same time. It was a very therapeutic process for me.
So I guess my thought here is that if indeed, and I would say that this probably expands to many people. I mean, you would know the black culture better than I would, but I can see it just from the black friends that I have. I can't imagine any of them saying, "Yeah, I'm going to go see a shrink."
Yeah.
But then again, my white friends either. I don't know. It's just maybe women. A couple of guys might go.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's assume that this is true, which I believe you're probably right. Okay. Mm-hmm. You can twist a person's arm, but it sounds like what you just said might be like a backdoor way of getting therapy. Get somebody to write their memoir.
Yes, that's true. I think that's a way one can do it. I'd also like to make another suggestion. My therapist said that if you have a friend or relative that needs therapy, what you can say to them is, "I think you could use some coaching," because the word coaching is less threatening.
More manly, yeah.
Right. Because everybody has a coach. So you can say, I think you need a coach. And I'll go with you a couple of times until you feel more comfortable. Like in Fort Jackson, they have a program called Coaching Care. And what they do is they provide tips and information on how to coach your family member or friend into psychotherapy. On the other hand, sometimes it doesn't work. Many times it doesn't work. The person has to hit rock bottom before they are able to get the help they need, unfortunately. Unfortunately, some people never do.
Okay. Go ahead. Well, I was just going to ask you something. I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit here, but we do a veteran show. I think I mentioned that on Thursdays, and every now and then we will remember the Tuskegee Airmen. There's a gentleman who lives in our community, and forgive me if he's already passed away, I don't know, but I know he was one of the Tuskegee Airmen. And when there was a movie made, was it 2 years ago, last year, about the Tuskegee Airmen? The subject came up on that show that we often, like in old movies, it's like there'd be no black actors. In the war movies. And for those who didn't really study the war and really look at the reality of who was fighting, including in the Civil War, by the way, I mean, we got the feeling that, there were no black people participating in the fighting, where it's absolutely untrue. But is that the sense that you have, and do you think we're fixing that problem now? Do you think directors are making a difference now in changing that?
Well, I think slowly but surely. But I'd like to say that African Americans have been involved in every war and conflict since we were slaves, since we came over as slaves in the United States. Yeah. Up until, the Afghanistan war, the Iraq war, and other, conflicts. So I think the public needs to be educated, but I think more needs to be done.
Your book also is filled with the characters, and then you bring up the self-esteem issue. I mean, sometimes people are forced into situations where they have to be the leader, and everything rests on their shoulders, and they're not allowed to really have a lot of emotional outbursts for fear that it will cause other people harm.
Right. Right. Well, I think one good example of that might be the first African-American admiral, Admiral Samuel Gravely. My character fictitiously serves under this admiral, and Admiral Gravely looked out for his troops, and he also counseled them, and they called him their sea daddy. So I'm sure that there were times in which he could not express his dissatisfaction with racism or with any other issues that were going on during the conflict at that time.
Our guest is Kathryn L. Harris. Her book is called 90%, A Memoir of My Demise and Rise, and it is a novel partially inspired by true events, and hopefully if you've been listening, you've heard some of them. And I have so many more questions, but I wondered if you would be okay with taking phone calls from listeners.
I would love to.
Okay, let's go to the phone then. You've got a few people calling in right now. Good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for calling in, for waiting. You're on the air with Kathryn.
Yes, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I read the book by Shoshana Johnson, who was the lady that was serving in the 4th Infantry Division that was captured in the early days of the Iraq War, and how and what she went through recovering from the experience. It's called Still Standing. It may still be in print. So this sounds like it should be just as interesting.
Well, thank you. I hope you get a copy of it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going out to Barnes and Noble.
All right.
Well, if you don't find it at Barnes and Noble, go to Amazon.com.
Yes, and in fact, at the end of this interview, I will give away the copy that Kathryn sent us, so that
wonderful.
if you just be patient with me, I'll make sure I give it away and make it fair, so that whoever's out there gets it, and then the rest of us have to go buy it. Is it available as an ebook?
It will be available in ebook in about 5 days.
Oh, okay. So just give it a little wait there. So in writing this particular book, we've already established that there's a lot of personal, almost exposing kind of information here. Wondered if it felt uncomfortable. Wondered if you ran into any writer's block along the way, or did it flow like water? I mean, did it flow?
Well, it flowed like water. I didn't run into any roadblocks, but I did have some apprehension about letting it go.
Oh, really?
Yes, Larry, because as you said, I am exposing myself. I know that the general culture still has a stigma against psychotherapy. For example, I know some people are going to think I'm quote unquote crazy. I had a friend at the library who was working with me editing, and I made a mistake and said in a statement that I was getting behavioral medication, and it should have been behavior modification. And since that day, she has not spoken to me.
Oh, no.
She acts like she doesn't know me.
Oh, no.
She's from my university. She's an alumni, but she will not talk to me. But thank God I've never been on medication.
But see, now the real serious, when we hear about, okay, and irregardless of whatever I said in the beginning, or regardless, whatever the word should be there, in the beginning where I said my reluctance, it's probably true, but at the same time, I don't want to ignore what science has already proven works. And there was a story about some of these potential shooters, for lack of a better way to say this. I mean, you hear these horror stories. The guy who goes to the movie theater with the school up in Connecticut. You know, they're just shooting people at random. Mm-hmm. And all these people that have done this, they say, could have been helped.
Absolutely.
And some of it could be with a medication.
That's true. So
I don't want anybody to think just because Larry's Archie Bunker here. I'm not really Archie Bunker. I don't know. That's just one that, I don't know. I just think the statement that across the board we might be reluctant is probably not so. Hey, we're reluctant to do a lot of things with doctors, not just psychotherapy doctors.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's true. Men are a little bit more reluctant than women. And that's a little bit of an understatement.
Yeah.
Well, do you think, in your opinion, that we've become better as a people around the globe about just accepting people who they are and accepting their religions who they are and just treat people as people?
I think we've made some tremendous progress, although I think we still have a way to go, but I think we have made progress, yes.
when you first published the book, were you it sounds like you worked with some people before it was actually published to get feedback on their thoughts. Like you said, you had an editor, and I can't believe she walked away from you.
Yeah, that's sad.
Oh no, she was an editor. She wasn't an editor. I was editing a blog for my health clinic, and I just wanted someone to read over it.
Okay.
So she is a fellow alumni. She just works at the local library.
Oh, that's.
But I noticed after that, I saw the statement. I said, "Oh my God! I hope she doesn't think I'm on medication." But she, for some reason, maybe that's not the reason. She just stopped speaking to me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Might not be related.
Do you think more women though are more afraid to go to get psychoanalyzed than men?
Well, I think some women are just as afraid as men are because of the same reasons, particularly in our culture. What happens in the family stays in the family. And also there's that stigma. I don't want anybody to think I'm crazy. And so they don't get it. Or they keep trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, hoping that they can work it out themselves. But I'm here to tell you, go right away, run out and go, because I would not have been able to write this book, Larry and Robin. I wouldn't be able to be on your program if I had not been in psychotherapy. And just think, a psychotherapist that is helping you heal yourself and helping you write a book, I mean, who would do that? What kind of doctor would do that? Why not go?
Yeah, right. What is the relationship between religion and the psychotherapy profession, I guess?
Well, I think that they are interrelated. I think, this is my take on it, I think that psychotherapists, psychiatrists, social workers are foot soldiers in the healing of mental health.
Right, really, even if they may not have a religion of their own.
Even if they may not have a religion of their own. I think some people do not have a traditional religion, but they believe in some higher power.
Right. Well, I've often thought this about pastors. Like we'll have pastors talking about different things on this program, and it's rabbis. I'm not just trying to be a Christian exclusive, but most of our religious guests are Christian. Just happens to be, but I think what I noticed about them a lot of times is that if you really listen to what they're saying, that's very much philosophical and very much psychiatric in nature. That
spirituality is very much in nature,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah, I think. I mean, with the advice if for example, if you're a pastor and you have a young kid who's all confused, doesn't know what to do, comes to you and says, "Pastor, I got a big problem," and he says, "Well, sit down, let me talk to you." Okay, so then they pray and then they trust in God, but then he also gives advice, and that's almost like a psychotherapist right there. At that point. Right.
Well, I think that's a good first start, but I think. We need to see a psychotherapist because they are professionals, they have been trained, they are objective, and they are bound to keep secrets. And as Sheila Johnson, formerly of BET, said, they can become your best friend. So I think a pastor is good, but unless he's had the training and unless he can be objective, then you still need to go to that psychotherapist.
And I think, too, that sometimes men really get a bad rap because you hear how wonderful women are. They're wonderful mothers. They care. They love their children. And then all the men are interested in is just going to work and coming home and not being with their kids. But
and with their other two women, too.
I think that's a totally false, especially when they are in the service and they're all deployed, both men and women. Those men are thinking about their children and how wonderful it is when they go back home and they want to be able to share the experiences with their children growing up and not have any of those psychological hindrances.
Oh, absolutely. I think that fathers do in general. I mean, most fathers love their children, and they want to have a good relationship with them. But if they have post-traumatic stress disorder, if they have other mental illnesses, if they cannot trust, then they're not going to be able to relate to their children. So we need to work on removing that stigma in our society by education, awareness, and introducing it into the pop culture through book, music, like I did in 90% of Memoir, My Demise and Rise, so that men can feel more comfortable doing it, hugging their children, playing with their children, or even, raising their children.
Yeah, I think the reader will walk away with something that they didn't have before reading the book. I think you're educating a little bit, and I'm just curious because you've already expressed that it was therapeutic for you, was it educational for you as well, writing the book? Did you learn anything from the book?
Well, I learned a lot from the process. I learned a lot what was going on in the character's mind, Jasper Beeman's mind. I learned a lot about therapy. I learned a lot on how to relate to people. I learned a lot about myself. So, yes, it was very educational.
Why is the man so sad on the cover? I mean, he's got 3 women at any given time. Why is he so sad? He looks so...
Jasper is, Jasper's main thing is he does not want to lose his money. He's rich. So if I can't give it all away, but maybe that's...
That's part of it, It's like, wow.
Wow, what am I going to do with all these 3 women?
All right, let me give this one away. It's called 90%, a memoir of my demise and rise. Kathryn L. Harris is the author. If you'd like the copy I have, you can ask for it and have it. The rest of us have to go buy it and give us some information about that. I know you already mentioned Barnes & Noble, Amazon, ebooks coming out soon.
5 days.
Right.
Is it in the bookstores?
It's not quite yet, but it will be soon.
It will be.
Yes. For more information about when this will happen, you can go on my website at Kathryn, KATHRYN-Harris.com.
Okay, KathrynHarris.com. And Robin actually made it easy for our listeners. Go to the WOCA website, and you'll see Kathryn's name on the guest list for today, and the website is right there. Let me give this one away. Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
This is Jim.
All right, Jim, you've got it. It'll be waiting for you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. There you go. The phone lit up, so you're going to have a hit on your hands. When did the book come out?
Well, the book came out a couple of months ago, but I pulled it back, and now it came out in late December, and the hardback book will be available in about 10 days.
All right.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Well, Kathryn, is it cold in Washington, D.C.?
Well, not really. Not like it was 10 days ago. It's mild, beautiful. The sun is shining.
Well, enjoy it while it lasts, because tomorrow the cold weather comes back. That's what I read this morning anyway.
Yeah. Hey, Larry, it is winter.
I know. But see, we've had our share of it down here.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for it to be done. We've had my winter. Okay, let's put the heat back on. Kathryn, you're a fun interview. Thank you for being on the air with us today. Come back anytime. And any plans to write another book?
This is a 3-part series.
Oh,
I have
excellent.
one that's drafted, and another one I hope to work on as soon as this one becomes a bestseller.
And it's probably going to happen as we speak.
Well, thank you.
Kathryn, thank you for being on the air with us, and you're definitely welcome back anytime.
Okay, please invite me back, and I'm honored to have had this opportunity.
The honor is ours. Thank you, Kathryn.
Okay. Happy Martin Luther King Day, Larry and Robin.
Yes, same to you. Thank you. We'll take...
And EMSI. Happy Martin Luther King birthday to my wonderful publicity PR firm.
Yes.
Yeah, they're great.
We've worked with them forever. We'll take a break and be right back.
Hey, it's Christy with Ocala Mac and PC Repair and Ocala Guest Wi-Fi to let you know we have you covered. We are the only local certified Apple and Microsoft computer company in Ocala. We are family owned and operated. From mobile repair to wireless networks, viruses, new systems, or security cameras, we do it all. Check us out online, ocalamacpc.com, or give us a call, 352-566-8324.
Tell them Nick, Madison, or Mason sent you and get free diagnostic.
Get your internet telephone service from the company that brought affordable internet service to Ocala in the first place. All is Safe is a sister company of Ocala Guest Wi-Fi, a company you've known and trusted for all your internet needs. Whether you need a phone or hundreds, we've got the products and services to meet your needs both now and in the future. Our plans include everything from local and long-distance calling to equipment maintenance and even software upgrades. You can count on All is Safe to give you cost certainty knowing that your bill will be the same next week, next month, or even next year. Call 352-450-8647 today to learn how to cut your monthly telephone bill up to 60%.
Veterans are the foundation upon which our freedom was and is built. Listen each Thursday at 9 a.m. for Veterans News with Hank Whittier, Vets Helping Vets. You will hear honorable tributes, information about veterans issues, and even some interesting stories. This program is sometimes funny, sometimes sad, and always focused on the military and first responders. Veterans News is brought to you in part by Palm Chevrolet, where supporting the community is the Palm Chevy way.
ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. Cold weather is coming back. Arctic temps are edging toward the U.S., striking first in the upper Midwest and later sweeping east and south across much of the rest of the country later this week. Terrorists are promising to make trouble at the upcoming Sochi Olympics, saying they have a surprise package ready for visitors. Russian President Vladimir Putin says they'll never get past heavy security. Those much-maligned college rankings rolled out each year by the Princeton Review and U.S. News & World Report have a significant impact on applications and academic competitiveness. Researchers say lower reviews lead to lower application numbers and weakened recruitment ability. The Super Bowl dance card is full. It'll be the Broncos versus the Seahawks. The Patriots and 49ers lost their games and their chances in the championship matchups yesterday. French President François Hollande still won't say whether his partner is still the First Lady of France. She was released from a hospital over the weekend and tweeted thanks to her supporters. She checked in after reports surfaced that Hollande was having an affair with a movie star. This is ABC News.
How do you know the used car you're getting is good? One you can really trust? Well, start with KBB.com's most trusted car brand, backed by an extensive limited warranty, and you've got yourself a certified pre-owned Honda. So get going while the getting is good. Find the one that's right for you at HondaCertified.com. See your Honda dealer for limited warranty details. Based on 2013 Brand Image Awards from Kelley Blue Book. Visit KBB.com for information.
Watch what happens when I need something for business. Say my laptop just died.
Office Max has laptops, tablets, and printers that are perfect for you.
How'd she know? And why is this report in black and white?
Office Max has most major brands of ink and toner at the lowest prices guaranteed.
Okay, I'll go. Right after I clean up these files.
Office Max has cloud storage, so you can be productive on the road.
Isn't she amazing?
If you need it for your business, you'll find it at Office Max, all at great prices. Restrictions apply. See storeofficemax.com for details.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
The weather is brought to you by